I'm 84 years old, and the most terrifying thing I've ever had to face wasn't the morning the doctor used the word malignant, or the day I realized my bank account was nearly empty. It was the quiet Tuesday afternoon a few years ago when I realized I was standing in my kitchen with a glass of water in my hand, and I didn't care if I dropped it. I didn't care if it shattered. I didn't care if I was still standing there an hour later. That is what depression looks like when you're old. It isn't a dramatic sob. It's a gray, heavy fog that steals your peripheral vision until the only thing you can see is the end of the road. I'm speaking to you now because I almost let that fog swallow me whole. And I realized that if I wanted to stay mentally whole in these final chapters, I had to stop waiting for someone to save me and start fighting for my own mind as if my life depended on it. Because it does. I've spent most of my 84 years being the fixer. I was the one who kept the house running, the one who remembered the birthdays, the one who held everyone else together when things fell apart. But when life slowed down and the house got quiet, I fell into what I call the invisible trap. I sat in this armchair and waited for the phone to ring, feeling like a ghost in my own living room. I thought that because I was no longer busy, I was no longer valuable. That belief is the door that lets the darkness in. If you are listening to this and you feel like you are just waiting for the clock to run out, I need you to hear me. Your mind is still a garden, and if you stop watering it, the weeds of despair will take over. The first thing I had to do to survive was to stop mourning the woman I used to be. We spend so much time looking back at when we were stronger, or when we were someone's mother or someone's boss. That is a dangerous game. Your brain cannot thrive on the memory of old roles. I had to force myself to become a perpetual beginner. I started trying things I was terrible at. I tried to learn how to identify birds in the garden. I tried to bake bread that usually came out like a brick. It wasn't about the result. It was about giving my brain something new to chew on. Depression loves a stagnant mind. You have to create friction. You have to find something, anything, that makes you a student again. I also had to learn that loneliness isn't a character flaw. It's a physical hunger. For a long time, I was too proud to tell my daughter that I was struggling. I didn't want to be a burden. But that silence is where depression grows. I had to break the habit of being the strong one. I started reaching out, not to talk about the weather, but to say, I'm having a hard day, and I just need to hear another human voice. Whether it's a neighbor, a person at the grocery store, or a phone call to a friend you haven't spoken to in years, do it. Your nervous system needs the warmth of connection to stay regulated. Do not retreat into the shadows of your own head. Another change I made was with the fuel I was giving my brain. I used to keep the television on all day. The news, the tragedies, the constant shouting. I didn't realize that my low moods were being fed by a steady stream of chaos I couldn't control. I made a hard rule. The news stays off. I replaced it with music or just the sound of the birds. I also realized that at my age, I couldn't eat like a teenager anymore. Too much sugar or processed food would make my thoughts feel heavy and dark an hour later. Your brain is an organ, just like your heart. If you feed it trash, it will give you trashy thoughts. I started eating simple, real food and sitting by the window to get the morning light. It sounds small, almost too simple to work, but your body needs to know it's still part of the living world. The most important advice I can give you is to reclaim your right to matter. For a while, I stopped getting dressed properly. I stopped using my nice china. I figured, what's the point? It's just me. But that is a signal to your brain that you are already gone. I started setting the table for myself as if a queen were coming to dinner. I put on my favorite scarf even if I wasn't leaving the house. These small acts of self-respect are a middle finger to depression. They are a way of saying, I am still here, and I am worth the effort. Mental health at 84 is about the aggressive pursuit of tiny joys. I'm 84 now, and the fog still tries to roll in on rainy afternoons. I know I don't have another 80 years left, but the years I do have are mine. I stopped waiting for the world to notice me and started taking care of the woman I am today. If you feel like the gray is getting too heavy, I want you to do one small thing today that is just for you. Not for your family, not for your past, but for the person sitting in your chair right now. You are still here, and that means you aren't finished yet. The sun is starting to set now, and the house is getting quiet. But it's a peaceful quiet this time. I think I'll make myself a proper cup of tea and watch the sky change. If this reached you, maybe you could share one small thing you did today just for yourself. I'd truly like to know that you're still fighting too.